Hi and welcome to Lois and Morgana Davidson Art. It's Lois here and welcome to all you pigment nerds. If you're anything like me, you're really interested in pigments and the origins of the paint or the makeup of the paints that we use. And today I'm going to do another one of my swatching series. Mostly I compare different brands of the same pigment, and you can find quite a few of those videos in the playlist if you look for that on our channel. But today I'm going to be looking at a few different colours as shown here. They were gifted to me by Morgana, my daughter, who I share the channel with. And I think they're going to play really nicely together. But first of all, I'm going to have a look at them and find out what's in them. In other words, what the pigment numbers are that make them up, and then I'll swatch them out and see how they look. This isn't going to be a deep dive. I'm not an expert in this area, but I am sort of an interested amateur. We sometimes make our own paint, as some of you know, and so the makeup of various pigments and paints and colours is really fascinating to us. So the first one, I just want to say these are all artist quality paints as well. The first tube, starting from the left, is Michael Harding's Moonlight. Next is Perylene Violet by Winsor & Newton, and then two Holbein colours, Lilac and Cobalt Green. They're all in tubes. And lastly, there's a large full pan by Roman Small, and it's Urban Grey. Starting from the left with Michael Harding's Moonlight, it's made up of three pigments. There's a red, a green and a blue. So PR 177, PG 18 and PB 29. That's anthraquinone red, viridian green and ultramarine blue. Next is Winsor & Newton's Perylene Violet, and this is the only single pigment paint out of all of these five, and it's made from PV 29, which is Perylene Violet, and it's one of my favourite colours is Perylene Green, so I've got high hopes for this one. Next is Holbein's Lilac, and that's another one that's made of three pigments, PR 122, PV 23 and PW 6. So that's quinacridone magenta, dioxazine violet and titanium white. Moving on to the next Holbein colour, which is cobalt green. Again, three colours. So PG 18 or 18, PB 28, PW 6, viridian green, cobalt blue and titanium white. So not a straightforward cobalt green as I would have thought, but a cobalt blue with green and white added. And then on to the last one, which is the Roman Small pan of Urban Grey, which looks really interesting, and that's made of four pigment numbers, PW 6.1, PBR 29, PB 29 and PY 150, and that's buff titanium, which apparently is an unbleached form of titanium, which makes a really good neutral base, and then chrome iron brown, ultramarine blue and nickel azo yellow, and that creates or should create a really beautiful neutral grey, very nuanced apparently. I'll now swatch them out on the back of an old painting. It's Saunders Waterford paper. I like to swatch out my colours on the paper that I will be using so that I can see how it behaves on that actual paper. I don't think it really works swatching out on cheap paper because then the paints don't behave in the same way as they will on the paper that you normally use. I've slightly sped up the swatching process so you don't have to spend too long simply watching paint dry. I'm using my 3/4 inch Cotman flat brush to swatch out. I really like to swatch with a flat brush. I find it can just very simply show me the colours without any fuss, and with each colour I like to swatch out a dark, middle and light value if I can. This is the Moonlight. I think you can see to start with it's a deep greyish violet, but I have heard that it splits out and granulates with some hints of green, and that would be about right because, of course, one of the colours it's made up of is viridian green. Here's the perylene violet with the 3 values, and that's a stunning single pigment colour, and you can see how transparent it becomes in the lighter value range, and yet what depth it has as a dark value paint. Here's the first of the 3 colours that contain titanium white in one way or another, Holbein's lilac. And you can see that that's got some opacity from the white. And here's the cobalt green. Again, that's fairly opaque. Both lovely colours. Lilac is a nice sort of pinkish violet, and the cobalt green has quite a lot of blue in it. It's a nice cool colour. And now for the Roman small urban grey. This is really lovely, and even though it's in a pan, it wet up within seconds of me touching the pan with the brush. I'm just going to try and run it out a bit more and see how light it will go. This one uses unbleached titanium white or buff titanium, and you can see that it's got quite a nice sort of neutral look to it. I'd imagine you can layer it up to get it really opaque, but it becomes incredibly beautiful and transparent as it gets lighter. Now I switched the camera off and swatched out a larger amount of the moonlight, the Michael Harding moonlight. And I'm hoping that you can see a bit more clearly there that it's splitting out and granulating with sort of greenish hints around the edges. If you can't see that, then you have to trust me. It is splitting out to purples, greys, violets and greens, and it's really beautiful, highly granulating. I think you can probably see on the porcelain plate there more of the green hints and the pinks and the mauves and greys in the colour at the top, which of course is the moonlight colour as it sits on the palette. But an absolutely stunning colour for anybody who likes those kinds of colours that split out into 2 as you paint. I really like the way these colours are looking swatched out together here, seeing all the different values and some of the nuances here of them swatched out singly. I think they would probably play together quite nicely. I should probably do another demo where I use them all together for a painting, maybe just adding 1 or 2 other colours from my normal palette, but mostly using these colours and seeing what happens when I paint with them. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. As I said at the beginning, if you do like this sort of video, then there's a playlist for watercolour swatching which may interest you. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave us a comment if you've got any thoughts about these colours or if you've tried them out yourself, and I shall look forward to reading them. And as always, special thanks to everybody that supports us on Patreon. We really do appreciate you. I'll see you again soon. Take care and have a wonderful day.